The last shot. Is it going to be a win or a bin? Let's have a quick read through of the description on Steam. An adventurous engineer, a diesel punk world divided by endless conflict and a whole lot of colossal guns. Sounds like a good time. With massive war machines threatening your home, will you be the one small cog that brings it all to a halt? Interestingly enough, that description there is pretty much all you have to go on in terms of the story of this game. As I'll come to during the video, there isn't actually much to go on as to what is happening in this game whatsoever. So this is a platformer with lots of different puzzles. Those puzzles range from simply being able to climb up things via different platforms and you having to pick the right route, all the way to making machines work in certain ways to suit certain puzzle requirements. You move through zones, or seemingly zones, different areas of the world that you're in. It's some sort of, I would describe something like East Germany would have possibly have been like back in the day. There's a lot of Soviet elements in here, I think, in terms of the culture, I think, the way it's coming across. But certainly under some sort of military dictatorship, it would seem. You play a very forgetful character with seemingly no name, no real personality, doesn't talk, just has a really stupid face. I understand he's an engineer, but after a while his face gets really annoying. And he runs a bit like me, non-competently, should we say, and a little bit hysterically. You're never really sure what the goal is of this game, but as you play, you do just come across all these different challenges and puzzles, and as long as you keep moving in the right direction, in the literal sense, you're onto something. That's all you need to go. And as long as you're changing the scenes as you're moving along, you know you're definitely going in the right direction. There's 3 basic interactions that you can make. There's one with your hands, pushing and pulling boxes around, that sort of thing. There's a wrench where you can repair items or dismantle items, more so repair actually. And you have a hammer, which is for more dismantling of certain items and breaking through certain things. However, you can't do these things freely, it's only at fixed points. So if there is something that you can break as part of a puzzle or as part of a direction you must go in, then you can break it. The rest of the environment is not damageable and you can't just fix anything at random. You're caught in a very much linear process of what you can interact with. So let's just explore some of the good things. The art style is absolutely brilliant in general. I love it. As I said a moment ago, the era and the setting I believe it to be in, it really fits that. It's a bit quirky, a bit cartoony, feels something unique about it. Really, really good. There's no voice work at all. There's no real sound effects apart from the guns that you hear in the background and a few sort of other things, but the art style for me is definitely a great point to this game. The puzzles themselves are really good. They're extremely hard, and I've seen a few comments on Steam about how difficult they are, nearing the impossible and unforgiving, extremely unforgiving. You do not get any help. If you're struggling, the game doesn't detect that you've attempted the same puzzle about 1 million times, and it doesn't throw any help your way, hints or tips, nothing like that whatsoever. If you can't do it, you're sunk. And you can get quite frustrating, and your fingers can hurt after a while. I was using a keyboard rather than a controller. Your keys can be rebinded, which is fine, but it's all external from the game before you start the game. There's no actual in-game options for controls or visuals. It's all before you start via a pop-up screen. I particularly like the puzzles that involve robots. There's lots of machines in this. It's diesel punk. And so there's lots of smoky, dirty, oily machinery. A lot of your puzzles do rotate around those sort of things, so you can move them around to get them to move objects into certain positions and that sort of thing. You'd have to play it to understand what I mean, but they vary a great deal, and I personally think they're a great quality. As part of that difficulty does actually come very forgiving checkpoints. If you do find yourself struggling on a certain puzzle and you eventually manage to crack it, you don't have to go much further past that solving of the puzzle for it to create a checkpoint. You don't see a checkpoint generated, but you don't have very far to go until you hit one of these invisible checkpoints. So if you do fail or fall off something or die, you're not going to have to go back miles and miles and miles and replay anything. It's a definite positive for this game. The price is superb. It's less than £10, and I played 7 hours and I've just about completed it. It's possibly me just being really slow. I think people could probably complete this 3 to 4 hours. But I'm around the 7-hour mark. I don't care. I mean, I think this is superb value for money based on that. And even if you're getting 4 or 5 hours, it's still really good. Okay, so just some negatives here. Although the artwork and the background and the backdrop is all really nice, there is no story that's explained as you go through. You have no idea what you are, what you're doing, anything like that. You're just this strange little engineer fella running from side to side, solving puzzles and jumping around. But you don't know why, you don't know who anyone is, you don't know where you are. I would have enjoyed a little bit more background of information as you go through at the very least, or actually saying that at the very least at the beginning, just to explain something as to why you're going on this adventure. As alluded to, the main character, he's a duff character, just boring, soulless, just no fun whatsoever to be. The controls at times can feel clunky, and yes, as I say, you can rebind your keys. I was just using was sad, but sometimes the jumping just doesn't feel very smooth, and just the movement doesn't feel very smooth. Perhaps it would work better on a controller, maybe. I couldn't be bothered to try it. Perhaps it does, but for me, I felt the controls were clunky at times. There is no ability to save the game, which I kind of would have liked, because when I left the game, certainly at first, I was a bit frightened to quit because I didn't have an option to save and I didn't know how far back it was going to put me. So the fact there's no saving ability did annoy me a bit at first, but it seems that the thing I was referring to about very forgiving checkpoints, there is seemingly invisible auto saves, or at least no auto saves that I could see, so you never have to go back too far as it happens. And on the right hand side of the screen as you play, there's various different visual options. You can have this crackly effect, you know, like vintage broken up screen sort of thing to make you feel like you're back in an older time. You can also make it really sharp, so you've got a sharp image, or you can have it a bit dulled. You can have the corners of the screen darker, just little things like that. And also, this is the bit that annoys me, there was an option to put on a COVID mask. Why is that a thing in this game? One, COVID is a thing of the past in terms of full-on pandemic mandatory mask wearing, but it certainly is in the UK. This game may not be from the UK, but it doesn't matter. It's not a massive thing anymore, I don't believe. But why does it need to be in a game? Who is this for? Is someone meant to laugh at the fact that your character can put a mask on? I mean, it makes his face better, the fact you can't see it. Maybe that's what it's for. If it's trying to be humorous, it's not working. Overall, this game is really, really good, and I'm giving it a high rating purely because of the puzzle element in this and how hard it is without any help. It doesn't treat you like you're an idiot, it treats you like an adult, and it lets you figure things out yourself and work on those things and improve as you go through to try and get to the end of a problem and puzzle. There's a few hand-holdy bits in this, maybe with picking up items that you have to find. Some things have little stars flashing around them so you know where they are. But overall, for me, the scenery, the visuals of this, barring the main character, and the level of difficulty of the puzzles make this a good game for me. It makes it worth its money, which, as I say, is good value.